couple of games into the NHL playoffs, and already we've seen a couple of big-name bona fide goaltenders playing like Hanrahan from the movie Slapshot. Hey everybody, welcome into Clearing the Benches, your one-stop shop for daily fresh hockey content. If you go ahead and hit your subscribe button right now, every single day we'll bring you in a new hockey video to enjoy. Well, there are some big-name goaltenders that are playing well below their usual level. A lot of these guys are just, I don't know what's going on in the playoffs, but they are playing very uncharacteristically to how they usually play. And today we're going to go over some huge names in the NHL, to me, that if they don't get their act together and get it together fast, their teams could be on the outs and quick. Alrighty, so today we're going to start off, hey Hanrahan, with none other than Connor Hellebuyck, who, to be honest with you, I think is pretty much, I don't want to say he's a lock for the Vezina, but boy, did he have an incredible season. I know he had some hiccups down the stretch, and he wasn't exactly at his best when the playoffs started, but boy, oh boy, I did not see this coming, and I'm pretty sure nobody else did either. But so far in the two games against the Colorado Avalanche, Connor Hellebuyck has given up 10 goals on just 77 shots. That's only an .870 save percentage. Last night, let's go back to the first game. He looked shaky big time in that third period. When that game was 6-4, I thought that was going to be the final score. I did not think Hellebuyck was going to break down and give up two more late goals. And when you start giving up those goals, in the third period, that's what's going to give the other team hope if they're trailing. And you definitely don't want to do that. And then again, last night, he was wandering a little bit more than he usually does. And that was, again, very uncharacteristic for Connor Hellebuyck. He's usually, calm, cool, he doesn't put forth a lot of effort because he doesn't have to. He plays all of his angles well, and he's usually in great position. And last night, I'll tell you what, you could have clipped him into that slap shot scene with Hanrahan where he was just all over the ice. That's what Hellebuyck looked like for a couple of minutes there. I was just watching it in disbelief. I couldn't believe that he was falling apart the way he was. So we're going to definitely be keeping an eye on that one. That is going to be a very exciting series. And on the other end, I know I bash him a lot, but I got to give my props to Alexander Georgiev. He played a really good game last night. He got them back in that series. I'm not going to say he won that game by himself because you could see Colorado had a lot of urgency in that game. You could almost tell from the start they were going to win that game. They just seemed like they had an extra pep in their step. And I got to give it up to Georgiev. After the first game, I thought the kid might have just got on a train and just, bought a ticket as far as it goes. But he didn't. And last night, he hung in there. There were some times last night where I thought this is where Winnipeg could really, put a little separation if they would have gotten that win last night. So again, as much as I bash Alexander Georgiev, I got to give him his props. He played a really steady game last night, and in my opinion, he got Colorado back in that series. And now that they're going back to Colorado, it could be rough sledding for the Winnipeg Jets. Next up, the Vancouver Canucks. They, yesterday, that news broke, the Thatcher Demko injury, and he was going to be out for at the very least last night's game and possibly for the rest of this first round. And it did not go well for them last night in his absence. Casey DeSmith, again, he only had one playoff game to his record coming into last night, and he gave up 3 goals on just 18 shots, and that's only an .800 save percentage. In the playoffs, you've got to keep teams to like 2-3 goals. I don't know, it seems like we're watching 1975 WHA playoff hockey where every game was 8-6. I am shocked that these scores are as high as they are. Usually as soon as the playoff starts, everybody just battens down the hatches and they tighten it up, and it just seems like so far, at least half of these playoff series, they have not gotten the memo as of yet. So the Canucks, they are going to need a healthy Thatcher Demko back, and they're going to need him back in a hurry. If news breaks that Demko is out, first of all, we'll bring it to you as soon as we find out about it. But if that were to happen, I got to say Nashville to me becomes a big time favorite in that series to advance. And then the New York Islanders, I got a question for you. Where is Sorokin? What happened? He was 3-0-1 in his last 4 games down the stretch. He only gave up 9 goals in those last 4 games. Why are they going with Varlamov? I looked. There's nothing that says anything about Sorokin being injured or any kind of anything going on. I scoured every place I could find this morning and there was nothing about it. So, and if I missed it, please, somebody put it in the comments. Let me know. But again, where is Sorokin? I know that Varlamov, he's a good goalie, but he's not Sorokin. And to be honest with you, I haven't even heard much talk about it when you watch the games. They're not even really saying what's going on and why they made the switch. Again, I just didn't think that this would be the case. I thought for sure that you'd be seeing Sorokin in here and not Varlamov. And, so far, Varlamov's given up 6 goals on 59 shots. That is not, that's not going to get you very far in the playoffs. So I am shocked and I'm scratching my head and I'm wondering. And, listen, Patrick Waugh, obviously, the, goaltending guru, he knows way more about it than I do. Especially he's right there on the situation. But I got to ask that question. Where is Sorokin? Next up, the Boston Bruins. Now, first of all, I think Jim Montgomery is an awesome coach. The guy has just, to me, done a great job ever since he's gotten there. But, you had a guy in Swayman who owns the Toronto Maple Leafs. He played an incredible game in the first game. He had, I don't know, I think he just gave up the 1 goal. It was something like a 930 something save percentage in that game. And then after the game, Henrik Lundqvist, while they're showing how Swayman owns the Maple Leafs, he looks dead into the camera and he says, do not make a switch over to Ullmark. What do? They make the switch, and it wasn't that they lost because of Ullmark, but I'll tell you what, to me, that brought some bad mojo into that locker room, and they wound up losing that game, and they could have been up 2-0, and instead, now they're 1-1, and, just the way it looks from here, I think Toronto's gaining a little bit of momentum off of that game. I feel like they've got some confidence now, and they feel like they can put some pucks in the net. So, again, as much as I love Jim Montgomery, man, I am scratching my head asking, why would you make the switch from Swayman to Ullmark? It just didn't make sense to me. And again, I'm a guy who believes in, you start with your starting goaltender in the playoffs, you play him until he loses, then you put the backup until he loses, and then you go back to the starter. So, again, Jim Montgomery knows way more about it than I do, but I am scratching my head. LA Kings, we saw this coming a mile away. This was an issue for them all season long. When they had Cam Talbot, he's had some up and down years recently. And, when they brought him in, especially seeing, you got Rob Blake and Luke Robitaille running that team now, I would have thought that they would have used some of their personality to try to make a better, upgrade their goaltending, especially at the trade deadline. Jake Allen was out there. He played well for the Devils down the stretch a little bit. And then, I just look at Talbot, and again, he's one of those guys, you get to him early, you can get to him often. And in that first game, he gave up 6 goals on 44 shots. Again, the Kings got to tighten that D up. 44 shots is a ton. But that is only good enough for an .864 save percentage. You need like .905, .910 in the playoffs to win. Maybe they make this, switch over to big save Dave Riddick, but I don't know about that. I think they want a guy in there who's a little more seasoned. I'm not really too sure what Riddick's playoff experience is, but especially going up against the Edmonton Oilers, I'm going to say that the LA Kings are in trouble right now. And I think in the offseason, if Robitaille and Blake are still there, they have got to do something significant to upgrade their goaltending situation. Then next up, we've got, surprisingly, didn't expect to see his name on this list, Jake Ottinger of the Dallas Stars gave up 4 goals on 15 shots. That's only a .733 save percentage. And I hate to say it, but you do that against Vegas. They got too many, crafty, skilled guys. And now you got Stoneback, Hurdle. Mantha is kind of a big lug out there, but man, playoff hockey, you just plant him in front of the net. You really don't need him to do more than just, be a scarecrow out there and try to take up some space. But as far as Ottinger goes, my goodness, if Dallas is going to have any chance at all against Vegas, Ottinger's going to have to turn it around and turn it around in a hurry. He's going to need to steal a game versus Vegas. And then, after this, they're going to Vegas, and Vegas loves playing there. I know that they, didn't have the greatest year, but again, now they got all their pieces back together, and it's just, it's like the band got put back together for the playoffs. So Jake Ottinger definitely is going to have to get his act together if they're going to, advance at least past the first round of Vegas, and right now it's looking pretty iffy. The New York Rangers, Igor Shesterkin, he's played well. I'm not going to sit here and bash him by any means. He played really well in game one, but in game two, I'm thinking, the Rangers really need to put some separation on Washington. You win the first game. You're trying to blow them out 6-0, 6-1. You want to put a beat down on them. You want to let the rest of the league know, hey, we're serious. That game yesterday did not let me know that the New York Rangers were serious about winning the Stanley Cup. Nothing for nothing, but Ovechkin looks like he's 200 years old out there. And, he was still keeping up with the Rangers, which I was shocked at. The Rangers, to me, played a little slow yesterday, and I thought that they would have played better. But yesterday, he gave up 3 goals, Shesterkin, on just 25 shots. Again, Washington's not even getting that many shots, but you gave up 3 goals on 25 shots. That's only an .880 save percentage. I'm just going to be straight with you. I think if, Shesterkin in game 3, if he's not stellar, and I mean really, clamping down the old Shesterkin, don't be surprised if you see Jonathan Quick coming in for, maybe game 4. I just feel like the Rangers don't want this to come off the track, and I think they want to keep Quick in game shape, especially playoff shape. You don't want him to sit. You make a deep run and he doesn't play in any of the 2 first series, and now all of a sudden you throw him in there when, the money's on the line. So don't be surprised if we see Jonathan Quick just at least to get a little time in New York. As far as Shesterkin goes, he's hoping not. Again, they're hoping that he can tighten that up, and Quick just does like he did last year and just gets good, view from the bench. As far as goaltenders that are playing well in the playoffs, and there are a couple that are playing really well. First of all, Bobrovsky in Florida. How about that crazy save he made? Between that save that kid made a couple of weeks ago in the NCAA game, Matt Davis for Denver, and that save last night that Bobrovsky made, they may have been like the 2 greatest saves I've ever seen, and I'm, almost 60 years old. Vasilevsky, he's playing really well. I know, Florida, listen, they just lost in overtime, and, again, a goalmouth scramble, and Verhaeghe, holy cannoli. Talk about a guy who knows how to find the back of the net in overtime in the playoffs. And I think that was his 5th game-winning overtime goal, which puts him up there with some real crazy company. So as far as, Tampa Bay and Florida, both of their goalies, they're playing really well. And again, this is going to come down to me, Florida's a little bit of a younger team with a little bit more spark. But Tampa's a little bit older, but they're more seasoned, and they've got the experience. So, again, this series, to me, it looks like it could go 7. We'll see what happens when they go back to Tampa, if Tampa can get them back on track. But these goalies are playing really well. And then I was looking at Samsonov. Samsonov's played really, he had a big bounce-back game in that second game against the Bruins. He had an .833 save percentage in game 1, and then he improved that by almost an entire goal, I would say, at .933 save percentage for game 2. So Samsonov is also playing really well. So that's about it for this episode today. I just wanted to talk about some of the goaltenders. Surprisingly, some of the big name goaltenders are not playing up to snuff as far as how they usually play. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know if I didn't mention somebody that you think I should have talked about, or you think I'm being too hard or too soft on any of these guys, put it down in the comments section. If you could, please hit your subscription button, your like button, and as we always do, especially in the playoffs, let them know you're out there.